afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Live at 4. It's Friday!
It's Friday. Wow, quite
It's been a long week.
Yeah, apparently it has been.
Mark will be back on Monday. Danica Lewis is filling in once again. And a week from tonight, you will be...
Right around right now.
Mrs. Rhymes.
Mrs. Rhymes, you got it.
Your
In a
wedding
very
is
different colored dress.
a week from today.
A week from
that's
today.
exciting.
Yeah.
Are you stressing or are you excited?
Yeah, both. At times one, and then the next second the other. You name it. So I know everything will go great.
Yeah.
It's just, a matter of getting there.
Yeah. Well,
a lot
we're
of things to
happy
tick
for
off
you.
the list. Thank you so much.
A week away. Here's what's making news on this Friday. People around the world are taking part in a massive climate protest. We'll hear from people in Madison who are voicing their concerns.
And just into the newsroom this afternoon, an internal and excessive force investigation has been completed by the Madison Police Department. Jamie Perez shares the conclusion.
And new hard-hitting sanctions on Iran. The president is signaling restraint on a possible military response. Let's take a look outside today. Summer lingers even though it's looking like fall.
Right? Look at that.
That's a great picture from Schuster's Orchard, the pumpkins and the apples and the hay rides.
We've been seeing the pumpkins pop up, but yeah, you're right. It does not seem like fall quite yet.
Not yet. The weather words for today: no more rain, please. Sort of with fingers crossed. Dave Caulfield is out on the weather patio. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Susan and Danica. Yeah, we are crossing our fingers. Unfortunately, don't think it's really going to work as we head into this weekend. Doppler track is quiet right now, but we have more chances for some heavy rain and also some stronger thunderstorms, especially as we get into tomorrow afternoon. Again, right now, even though we have that summertime humidity in the air and you could feel it as you step outside, nothing showing up on Doppler track at the present time. Madison, we're looking at those hazy skies, also partly cloudy skies in the WISC-TV Skycam. 81 degrees, so we're into the 80s on September 20th. South wind at 6 miles per hour. That dew point, oh my goodness, 70 degrees. September 20th with a dew point of 70 degrees. No thanks. Temperatures are in the lower 80s, but it feels like the mid to upper 80s with that humidity. And so with that humidity in place for Friday Night Football tonight, don't be surprised if we see a stray shower or storm. Not expecting much in the way of activity. We'll call it partly cloudy as we head into the evening hours. Temperatures falling through the 70s. So a warm Friday Night Football ahead of us. Now let's take a look at your first alert traffic update. The interstate at US 151 not looking too bad as our traffic camera on shuffle there. We do have two incidents in Columbia County to tell you about, right on the interstate there. So we do have a incident on the entry ramp on the interstate there, right near Portage, and then we are also looking at some traffic there by Wisconsin 60 on I-39 northbound, and then Dane County not looking too bad, but we are noticing those normal slowdowns on the Beltline start to pile up. Verona Road eastbound to John Nolan, that'll cost you 16 minutes right now with an average speed right around 15 miles per hour. Some other routes in and around Madison, a little bit slow from Middleton to Sauk City westbound on Highway 12 with an average speed of around 50 miles per hour. That's your first alert traffic update. We'll talk about what to expect for the Big Badger game tomorrow weather-wise in your first alert forecast.
Yeah, it's pretty sticky out there right now.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of that. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. First at 4, there is news just into the Channel 3000 Alert Center. The New England Patriots have released wide receiver Antonio Brown. Brown was just signed by the team 2 weeks ago after demanding that he would be released by the Oakland Raiders. Days after being signed by the Patriots, a trainer for the Cleveland Browns claimed she was sexually assaulted by him. Brown denies those allegations. Several Madison police officers will not be disciplined following an internal investigation looking into use of force. That investigation was launched in June after video posted to social media had some community members outraged.
They say that video shows an excessive use of force on a teen who was going through a mental health crisis. Jamie Perez joins us now with what the police department and the mayor are saying about this investigation. Jamie?
Right. Well, police actually found the officer's use of force to be, quote, objectionably reasonable. Now, this was the video posted back in June. According to police reports, the teen was having a mental health crisis that started at school. When he got home, the school resource officer told Journey Mental Health that he needed to be taken into custody. When officers arrived, police say that the teen spit at officers and resisted arrest. A Madison Police Department sergeant came in and hit the teen in the head several times. Now, police say the teen was not injured when this happened. During the investigation, the sergeant was placed on restricted duty while interviews were conducted with some of the other officers. The teen here declined to be interviewed. UWPD also acted as a third-party review of this video. The investigation found 2 minor violations from the sergeant involved, but that the use of force was reasonable. Police Chief Mike Koval said in response to this incident, Madison police officers involved in this will do some follow-up coaching on areas of how this could have gone better. They're also reviewing their internal use of force training and will be training on how to skillfully approach interactions with youth. Now, because there was such a strong community interest in this, Koval said that this investigation is being released on their website.
All right, Jamie Perez reporting for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jamie. Protesters have been rallying since noon today for a climate strike demanding clean energy.
This is part of a movement happening all over the world today, pushing for climate action. Amanda Quintana is back from the rally with what those in attendance want to see done in Wisconsin. Amanda?
Today's rally started at the Capitol, then hundreds marched to Madison Gas and Electric. They're demanding Governor Evers declare a state of climate emergency and MG&E dismantle local coal-fired power plants and transition to 100% clean energy by the year 2030, a goal the energy provider has already set, but by 2050.
The amount of changes that are happening are accelerating at a rate none of us dreamed possible 10, 20 years ago, and it's surprising even the scientists how fast this is happening. We need an amazing, dramatic turnaround now by all of us. We need to change the way we live in every way.
Although Tim Corden organized the event, he says youth are really leading the way. There were many students and children there today. The day wraps up with a youth-led rally back at the Capitol, set to start about right now, with free food and speeches by our young leaders. MG&E also released a statement from their CEO today, thanking the people for bringing light to this important issue, saying its 2050 goal signals its direction toward carbon emissions, but not its pace.
All right, Amanda, thank you. New at 4, Wisconsin agriculture officials have spent the day celebrating Wisconsin Agricultural Tourism Day. Wisconsin Secretary of Agriculture Brad Pfaff visited Schuster's farm in Deerfield this morning to read a proclamation from Governor Tony Evers. According to state officials, Wisconsin tourism reached $21.6 billion last year, and much of that came from things like the state's vineyards, pumpkin patches, and craft breweries. Secretary Pfaff says the fall is when agricultural tourism picks up steam.
It allows the colors to come to fruition. It allows people to get outside in a cool, crisp night, and they can enjoy what we have here in the state of Wisconsin.
Tourism officials say 112 million people visited the state last year.
A new proposal at the state capitol would legalize medical marijuana here in Wisconsin. A bipartisan bill was introduced this morning by Democratic lawmakers, but it does have Republican support. If it's passed, patients would need a doctor's recommendation to have the drug. State health officials would also need to create a registry system, and agriculture officials would have to create a licensing system for producers and sellers. Governor Evers proposed medical marijuana legislation in his state budget proposal. Republican Assembly Speaker Robin Vos says he is open to the idea, but Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald is against the legislation.
The Trump administration has made good on a promise, slapping new sanctions on Iran after both the U.S. and Saudi Arabia say they believe Iran attacked Saudi oil facilities last weekend. Bofta Yimam has more from the White House.
During a joint press conference with the Prime Minister of Australia, President Trump described new sanctions on Iran's central bank and National Development Fund.
These are the strongest sanctions ever put on a country. We are at a level of sanction that is far greater than ever before with respect to Iran.
The latest economic move against Iran follows last weekend's attack on Saudi oil facilities, which the U.S. and Saudi officials blame on Iran.
No more funds going to the RRGC or to fund terror. And this is on top of our oil sanctions and our financial institution sanctions.
President Trump has not definitively ruled out a military strike on Iran, but he told reporters in the Oval Office that he prefers to show restraint.
Okay, go ahead. knock out 15 different major things in Iran. I could do that and all set to go. The thing that does show strength would be showing a little bit of restraint.
The Pentagon is presenting military options at the White House Friday afternoon, and the U.S. Navy has positioned a destroyer near the coast of the kingdom to shore up Saudi air defenses. Iranian officials have denied involvement in the Saudi oil attacks. The Iranian foreign minister said, quote, Iran has no desire for war, but we will and always have defend our people and our nation. Bofta Imam, CBS News, the White House.
When asked if Australia would join in should the U.S. get involved militarily with Iran, Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison said his country generally considers requests from allies on a quote, on their merits.
To be continued.
Right. A new survey shows most elderly adults think dementia is an inevitable part of life.
And healthcare providers actually feel the same way. We'll talk more about the condition and how we can prevent it next on Live at 4.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
A rough day on Wall Street today as the trade war with China carries on. The Dow dropped nearly 160 points, the Nasdaq dropped 65, and the S&P 500 dropped 14. A new worldwide dementia study is revealing some surprising misconceptions about the disease.
That report shows about 50% of people living with dementia feel neglected by healthcare professionals. This research was conducted by Alzheimer's Disease International, which surveys 70,000 people across 155 countries. The results found 2 out of 3 think dementia is a normal part of aging rather than a medical condition, and almost the same percentage of healthcare workers believe it's a natural outcome of growing old.
This is a massive problem. You know, we have 52 million people in the world living with dementia. One person is developing dementia every 3 seconds.
While there is no cure for dementia, health experts say staying physically healthy, learning new hobbies, solving puzzles, all of those things may help stave off the disease.
Well, this weekend, cyclists from around the area will ride together in the name of cancer research.
In its first 4 years, the UW Health-sponsored ride has raised more than $1 million. And joining us now to talk a little about it is Dr. Natalie Callender and longtime cancer survivor Paul Westrick. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Paul, I would love to start with you. Can you kind of talk us through a little summary of what you've been through, your diagnosis, and where we are now?
Sure. I have a blood cancer called multiple myeloma. I was diagnosed in 1997, out of the blue, healthy 45-year-old guy.
It was just a test for your life insurance,
It was,
right?
yeah.
And so you had no symptoms.
It turned up an abnormal amount of protein in my blood, and went through a workup for it, and my doctor at the time said it could be a number of things. There's one thing we don't want it to be, and it turned out that one thing is multiple myeloma, what I have. Things have changed a lot since then, and that's part of what is being supported by the RIDE research breakthroughs. There are more treatments available today. It's so hard to keep track of them. But at the time, the approach was watch and wait. I didn't have any symptoms. I didn't have problems. Mm-hmm. And about the only treatment available was a bone marrow transplant or a stem cell transplant. So the choice was to hold off as long as possible. Unfortunately, I went 6 years and eventually had the stem cell transplant in 2003. And since then, more and more new drugs have come about to treat this. So I've been through several regimens since 2003, but now I'm free of treatment, at least for now, and enjoying an active life.
22 years. It's so reassuring to look at you. You're the picture of health, and for people watching, that's so reassuring to see.
Okay.
It is. When you go online, at the time, the average survival was 3 years.
Wow.
And that now, Dr. Callender can speak to that, is probably pushing 5 to 7. I'm probably today more the typical patient in terms of the responses that I'm getting, but I'm probably the longest living survivor from diagnosis in the state at this point.
Wow. And Dr. Callender, clinical trials are a big part of
right.
your approach
There's several things I'd like to touch upon with what Paul has said. And only about 3% of patients with cancer in the U.S. are ever part of a clinical trial, which is unfortunate because that's how we make some of our biggest breakthroughs, is having patients participate, be willing to volunteer. And when they do that, they not only help themselves, but they actually help everyone else with myeloma or any other disease as that is. So Paul was actually part of 2 very pivotal clinical trials, one early after his diagnosis and then one a few years ago. They both led to FDA approvals of drugs. They both ended up showing survival benefits. And, you know, he's really here to show us that. And the RIDE is actually to help us really fill in the gap for research, for cancer research. So many people think the federal government helps us, but we are woefully unfunded in this country for cancer research, underfunded. And one of the great things about the RIDE is we're raising money here for our researchers at UW. We have over 250 great researchers of all kinds, every type of cancer you can think of, scientists, social workers, psychologists. They all end up working together to help us come up with new ways to treat cancer.
Paul, tell us a little bit about the RIDE.
So this kind of combines 2 of my passions, bicycling and raising money for cancer research. So the RIDE is actually 5 rides. It's this Sunday. It's staged out at the American Family headquarters out in Sun Prairie. There are rides for everyone. So I was teasing,
5 distances.
5 distances.
Okay.
I was teasing Dr. Callender. We're going to get her out there.
I'm going to do more than a 3.
There's a 3-mile ride for families and beginners and that sort of thing. A 17, a 34, a 62, and a 102 or something like that. So
wonderful.
for all people of all abilities, they kind of time them so that people finish about the same time.
Great.
And then early afternoon, there's a big celebration, and it's a really fun event.
Awesome. We just saw the website up there. So if you're interested in more information, be sure to check it out. Thank you both so much.
Thank you very much for having us.
Continued good health.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks
Great
so
to
much.
see you.
Thank you.
So there is more to come at 4, including a preview of what's to come this weekend on CBS This Morning.
And then tonight at 5, the likes of Willie Nelson, Neil Young, and Dave Matthews are headed to Wisconsin this weekend to help out the state's farmers at a time when it's needed the most. Our Amy Reed will share why their help will be so important.
All right, take a look at this. Grandpa trying to keep the granddaughters happy, sure, by letting them hold a little kitten. Problem is, 1 cat, 2 kids.
Oh, no.
Whoa, you can hear his 9-month-old granddaughter crying as soon as she has to share that kitten. And then the 2-year-old cousin joins in the chorus when she has to let go of the furry feline. Does this bring, like, are you okay, Dave?
Yeah.
I feel like this is probably reminiscent of what you experienced.
It would be the cat crying.
Yeah, right.
in my case.
But in this situation, both babies bawling. Nobody, including the adults, very happy.
All the adults are laughing. That is
Yeah.
so funny. Oh, that's so funny. It's so cute. That's so cute.
Yeah.
All right, UFO fans are heading to rural Nevada. You may have heard about this. The Area 51 Festival.
Festival is a kind word, but revelers are descending on a pair of dusty desert towns outside Las Vegas to take in some music and maybe, just maybe, catch a glimpse of a top secret extraterrestrial form. The dueling festivals are inspired by Storm Area 51, a viral Facebook hoax that invited UFO buffs and conspiracy-minded folks to crash the military installation in southern Nevada. The area of the desert is home to a U.S. military installation known as Area 51, which has been the focus of conspiracy theories involving alien life for some time.
Luckily, only 2 arrests. There's only been 2 arrests, so most people, I think, showed up for the music, thankfully.
And just to be silly,
yeah,
maybe.
Some
Oh
of
my
those
goodness.
costumes, and everybody is running and just being crazy. I don't know.
It looks a little
No
chilly
comment
there.
on that.
But not
I don't
here.
know. I got nothing.
Yeah, I do have something for the weather, though, because more rain, unfortunately, could be on the way.
You think on Badger fans?
Possibly. We'll talk about that. The forecast is improving a little bit in that respect, so we'll talk about all of that, plus what to expect for the start of fall next Monday. In your First Alert forecast in just a few aliens. Good afternoon. Hopefully you had a really nice Friday so far. Doesn't feel like fall is right around the corner. In fact, it feels like the middle of July outside with temperatures in the low 80s and dew points well into the 70s for some of us. And really, we're being helped, at least in the humidity department, by this tropical transport of moisture. We could see that some showers breaking up well to the south, and this is associated with the moisture from what once was Tropical Storm Imelda that affected portions of southeastern Texas with crazy amounts of rain. This moisture is transporting, or at least traveling, to the north, and while it looks like just slightly to the south and west in portions of Iowa and Illinois are the best chances for seeing some of that really heavy rain over the next 24 hours or so, we still could see some heavy downpours across southern Wisconsin in spots that don't need any more rain after this soggy September that we've been experiencing. So an alert day in the forecast for tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night for those thunderstorms, some with the potential to drop another 1 to 2 inches of rain and flooding possible in spots that have been very wet over the last week to 2 weeks especially across southwestern Wisconsin, Grant County just can't seem to avoid those raindrops. Hopefully we do this weekend. Live look in Madison on the Edgewater Skycam, a hazy sky, but plenty of sunshine. Today's high, 81 degrees so far, so about 10 degrees above normal for this time of year. Normally we should be right around that 70-degree mark and with temperatures dipping into the 40s, but we were closer to 60 to start off our Friday. Some other temperatures in the low 80s as well in Janesville, Monroe, and Platteville, mid-80s in Boscobel, and closer to Prairie du Chien, so the Mississippi River Valley. You factor in those dew points, which are in the upper 60s and lower 70s. It actually feels closer to 84 in Madison, 87 in Janesville, and it feels like 90s September 20th. Summer not over yet, not by a long shot for some of us, so it feels like 90 in Boscobel. For the Badger game, and it is a big one against those pesky Michigan Wolverines tomorrow. I think that the early start to the game is going to help us out as far as rain chances go, so I don't think we'll see any rain for the start of the game at 11, but then by the afternoon, especially later in the afternoon, we do start to see those chances of showers and thunderstorms go up a little bit. Highs in the mid to upper 70s tomorrow afternoon. Does look like on our latest forecast model runs, it really does delay that shower and thunderstorm activity. So much of the heavy rain that we're concerned about won't happen until Saturday night, which is good news. Still can't rule out a quick shower and storm later in the Badger game. So keep that in mind. Temperatures will be in the lower 70s to start fall on Monday, but then we're generally going to be running a little bit above normal as we head into the start of the season. Tonight, temperatures in the upper 60s, mild with some patchy fog. Can't rule out a quick shower or thunderstorm with all this humidity in the air, but most of us should stay dry. Highs in the mid to upper 70s tomorrow, depending on when those clouds really start to take hold. Windy and humid, and mainly thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening. So we can look on future track. We can see mostly cloudy skies coming in early on Saturday. Again, a few showers and storms can't be ruled out throughout the day on Saturday, especially if we do get a little bit of sunshine. That gets our instability up. Our chances for thunderstorms go up in that case. But really the bulk of that heavy rain that we're keeping an eye on, note the time here, folks. This is overnight once again. So Saturday night into Sunday morning, a round of heavy showers and thunderstorms coming through and clearing out by the time we get to the end of Sunday morning. So we're looking at really some widely scattered showers and storms, so we could see some downpour potential of about 1 to 2 inches of rain. 7 to 10 day forecast. We are looking at those temperatures heading a little bit closer to normal for this time of year. A beautiful start to fall. Oh my goodness, Monday is looking fantastic. Highs right around 70 degrees and plenty of sunshine, but we also have those shower and thunderstorm chances returning by the end of next week.
So probably grab your poncho just in case if you're going to the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember, you can't take umbrellas into Camp Randall Stadium.
Hopefully the Badgers take a win from the Wolverines.
Yes.
That'd be nice.
I hope you're right. All right, thanks, Dave.
So you will want to pay attention to that forecast if you're going to tomorrow's Badger game.
And then on Sunday, tune in to CBS Sunday Morning with Jane Pauley. Our Josh Spreiter talked to Jane earlier today.
All right, Jane Pauley is joining us now. And Jane, we understand you have a lot coming up this Sunday morning.
Oh, we do indeed, Josh. She had me at hello. We got Renee Zellweger this Sunday. From Jerry Maguire to Chicago to Bridget Jones' Diary. She's proven herself one of Hollywood's most talented and versatile actors. But her new film, Judy, might be her most challenging role yet. Our Lee Cowan asks Renee how she approached transforming herself into such an iconic and popular figure as Judy Garland. Here's a clip.
I did YouTube videos and put it in so it reflected in a mirror, and I stood next to it and I was watching and I was doing my best to emulate, and I started to recognize that there were little movements that she would go back to, and I thought, oh, this is her language.
The film is already getting rave reviews, and Zellweger, who does all her own singing, does a version of Somewhere Over the Rainbow that critics are calling heartbreaking. I personally can't wait for this one.
Yeah, that sounds pretty great, Jane. And what else are you working on?
Well, we spent some time with Star Wars and Jurassic Park composer John Williams, guitarist Mark Knopfler from Dire Straits, and for Downton Abbey fans, the cast and creator of Downton Abbey, the movie. You in, Josh?
I'm in. A little bit for everyone there.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
All right, Jane, see you Sunday morning.
All right, thank you so much, Josh, for your help today. When we come back, your kids have probably heard the 3 R's when it comes to easy ways to help the environment.
But we tend to focus on some over others, so we will tell you how reducing our waste can make as much of an impact as throwing our bottles and cans in that recycling bin. So you have probably heard of the 3 R's, reduce, reuse, recycle. With bins at home in your community, while a lot of us are thinking regularly about that recycle part, we could all stand to probably do a little more of the others.
Lisa Mateo takes a look at what's really working to reduce waste.
The plastics you recycle may end up in a facility like this one. Long conveyor belts at Sims Municipal Recycling in Brooklyn are loaded down with water bottles and produce containers, but also items that should not have been recycled at all.
We get a lot of batteries that we don't want that can cause fires.
Large magnets pull away metal and workers sort out the garbage.
At the end of all that effort, you still have to send it to a landfill.
Plastic bags like this one can be the biggest contaminant in a recycling facility because they clog the machines and can slow down the sorting process. Other big no-nos: straws, coffee cups, plastic cutlery, hard plastic dishes, and plastic with food still inside. But even with the massive bundles of collected plastic that get sold back to manufacturers, only about 9% of all plastic ever created has been recycled. Experts say all that unrecycled plastic is breaking down into microplastics in our water, soil, and air, and people and animals are consuming it.
Recycling is not the silver bullet that we thought it was going to be, so we have to do something different.
Angie O'Reilly has switched to reusable containers for many of her products like coffee and shampoo. She uses a new service called Loop that includes items from more than a dozen popular brands, sending the containers back when she needs a refill. But she knows even that's not enough.
I would love to see a local drop-off or a place to go and refill your containers rather than shipping them back and forth.
Experts say reduce may well be the most important of the 3 R's. Buy only what you know you will use. Upgrade electronics less. Avoid products with excessive packaging and borrow, rent, or share items. With less to reuse or recycle, reducing what you consume can bring your carbon footprint down to size. Lisa Mateo, CBS News, New York.
Now, many cities around the country have banned plastic bags, and many communities are working to phase out single-use plastics, things like straws and utensils.
Every little bit helps.
We were just talking about, it's an interesting experiment to try to go a day even without using any plastic.
I know I have friends that have at least tried to not get plastic cups at, bars and restaurants and utensils. They've made a conscious effort, but yeah, it is nearly impossible.
Once, and I did it, and it went well until I had to take out the trash. Yeah. And then I thought, uh-oh, I need a trash bag.
Right.
So
yes, you do.
It's an interesting problem. When we come back, we're going to go backstage with Bruno.
This is your last weekend to catch the hilarious show of the Book of Mormon at the Overture. Our Michael Bruno will say hello, going backstage when Live at 4 continues.
Good afternoon. Here's your Friday First Alert traffic update, taking a live look at the Beltline and Stoughton Road. No major problems showing up in either direction. We could see that the Beltline not looking too bad, although we are noticing those normal delays show up on especially the eastbound Beltline. Speeds of about 15 to 25 miles per hour. Your drive times, that'll cost you 30 minutes from University Ave to the interstate with an average speed of around 30 miles per hour. That's your First Alert traffic update.
All right, thank you, Dave. The Book of Mormon is back on stage at the Overture Center.
The outrageous musical comedy about the misadventures of a mismatched pair of Mormon missionaries. That's a lot of alliteration for anxious anchors. It's back in Madison for its third run. Our Michael Bruno went backstage to learn more about the international sensation that is the Book of Mormon.
2 by 2, we're marching door to door. So, for those of people that have never ever even heard of Book of Mormon, which I find hard to believe, just give us a little overview of what the show is kind of about.
Well, the Book of Mormon, if you have not seen it, if you've been living on Venus, you must come right away. The Book of Mormon is a hilarious take on two Mormon boys who are just about to start their mission. Together, they're going to go off for 2 years and preach the gospel to the world, and they are chosen to go to Uganda. So we take two boys from the squeakiest clean place on the planet and drop them into the most challenging place on the planet. And the Book of Mormon is a story about how even in the most difficult of times, faith inevitably finds its own way to serve people.
And tell me a little bit about the characters that you get to play in this wonderful musical.
Well, as they journey on their way, you know, of course, because they meet other Mormon mission boys, so the cast skews very young. So I basically play all of the white adults in the show. I played Jesus Christ. I played Joseph Smith, who is the founder of the Mormon religion. I play Elder Price's dad, who is one of the lead boys. I play the president of the Mormon Church. I play pretty much anybody who's white and anybody who's not a boy.
And now this is not your first time here in Madison.
My third time here, and I mean, I've been to Madison several times because my daughter actually just graduated last spring from the University of Wisconsin's medical school here, and she's now in Oakland, California, doing her residency for OBGYN. But yes, I've played, I believe every time the show has played here at the Ovation Center, where we are right now, I have played Jesus Christ and Joseph Smith.
Is that daunting for you to think, I played Jesus Christ, and it's not Jesus Christ Superstar?
My MO used to be that I used to die in every show that I did. That was, you know, I did Les Mis, and I played Angeras, and I died on the barricade in that. I was Joseph Smith, Joe Gillis in Sunset Boulevard, and I was shot and killed and fell into the orchestra pit at the end of that show. I would just die and everything. Now, apparently, I played deities. Just before this, I was playing God in Children of Eden, the Stephen Schwartz show. So I guess that's my new thing now, is to play prophets and deities.
And how long have you been with the touring company?
I'm in my 6th year now, yeah. There used to be 2 tours of the show, and I was with the first national tour, and this became the second national tour and is now the only national tour, and I joined this one about 3 years ago.
So tell me about your journey of getting to the Book of Mormon. So where were you just before being hired, and how was your experience in getting cast in the first time?
It was a fun story for me because the first time I was asked to come in for the show, I was not able to come, so I sent a tape in for it, which is now a very common way of casting. I was playing George in Sunday in the Park with George in a regional company. Couldn't make it in, was too busy, and I did not end up getting the role, but then a year later, the role opened up. I flew in and had the audition. It was the shortest audition I've ever had. I don't think I was in the room for an entire minute. I came in, I sang Joseph Smith's Death, and they laughed, and I left, and I got an offer. They should all be that easy. And it's been just a joyful ride. As easy and fun as that has been, my 6 years with the show have been every bit as fun and easy and joyful.
If you can get them to laugh at your audition, and if they're laughing with you and not at you, that's a very good sign.
The funny thing is, John, is I didn't even think I was that funny. Apparently they did. I thought, well, oh, this is funny, good.
Hello, my name is not John.
That's okay. I'll call you John from here, at least for another week or so.
Madison loves this show. This is the third tour at Overture.
Yes, it is, and it's quite a spectacle. It really is a really funny show. It's a little rough around the edges, and it's not for everybody. It's not a family-friendly show at all, because it does deal with it makes fun of a lot of sensitive issues. But the cast is great. The singing and dancing is wonderful, and he said he plays all the roles. He plays every white male character in the world that's over 30.
Yeah, you have to expect though, when the makers of South Park make something, you're probably not going to go in with the warm fuzzies at the whole time.
Very true. Yeah, it's not Sound of Music or Oklahoma.
Right.
No.
This is the final weekend. The Book of Mormon runs through Sunday at the Overture Center. For tickets and more information, go to overture.org. What are we doing next week, Michael?
Next week, it's Run for Your Wife, a British comedy at the Palace Theater in the Dells.
Oh, that'll be fun.
That'll
Okay,
be
great.
fun.
We will see you next week.
Okay.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Michael.
We'll be right back. A warm start to the weekend.
Yeah, it does not feel like fall is right around the corner, not one bit. In fact, we have so much humidity in the air that a couple of stray showers and thunderstorms, I said this was a possibility, have broken out closer to Rock County. So you may want to think about maybe bringing a poncho to Friday night football festivities. I don't think we'll need it, though, for many of us. Temperatures are still in the low 80s for game time. We're dropping through the 70s with partly cloudy skies. Again, slight chance of a thunderstorm tonight. Mild with some patchy fog possible by morning. Temperatures in the upper 60s. We're in the mid 70s with thunderstorms, possibly some heavy rain rolling through, especially later on Saturday.
Still sticky out there.
Yeah.
Gosh, I can't get over it. Thank you, Dave.
All right, thank you, Dave. Here's what's coming up Monday on Live at 4. Have your plant questions ready. Lisa Briggs will take them live.
And Will Loper is in with his take on the Downton Abbey movie. That is Monday on Live at 4, and we will be right back.
Well, Lola and Louie are off this week with Mark, but they did file their News Hounds Update report.
That's right. So here are the best animal stories of the week in the News Hounds Now Update.
It's News Hounds Now Update with Lola and Louie.
This week on the News Hounds Now Update, a curious bear,
a strange sort of farm animal,
and a dancing octopus.
But first, a Spanish wildlife center has released the first footage of a 2-month-old baby Eurasian lynx playing with his mother. The adorable male lynx was born in the Manatura Pyrenees Wildlife Center. And get this, it's the first lynx to be born in the Catalonia region of the Pyrenees in over a century. The little guy weighs only 2.2 pounds right now, but he's in good health, and his mom is taking good care of him.
Wild animals in the land of the Leopard National Park in Russia are very curious about an abandoned cab of a Soviet all-road truck. An Asian black bear and a Siberian tiger seem very interested in the unusual object in the woods. The tiger was more cautious and didn't get into the rusty truck cab, which was dumped in the forest years ago. The bear, however, spends hours every day in the cab to hide from the rain, have its lunch. He even gets behind the wheel.
Now here's a critter you don't see on many farms.